All right, then great to be back again. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so what I want to share with you today is a very cool report that we published just a few weeks back that we did together with Bank of Greece about government bond experiments where we wanted to see how the full life cycle of a government bond, if it would be issued on a blockchain, would run. And I'm taking you a little bit into the considerations that we had, explain a little bit on what is in the report, and then as well give a little bit of an outlook on what's coming up next before we then go into the panel and discuss other real-life applications as well. So for those that haven't been here the last few years, a very brief introduction on who SWIAT actually is and what we do, a little bit of an overview. So in general, we are a market platform for financial institutions so that you can tokenize, issue digital bonds like commercial papers, bearer bonds, registered bonds, but as well facilitate trade finance use cases like we did with Olea, secondary market transactions as well. So everything that evolves around settling digital asset or tokenized assets on the blockchain is something that we do within the scope of regulated financial markets, so that we either provide the software for it so that you can run as a financial institution your application, or SWIAT is as well a licensed EWPG registrar supervised by BaFin that you can say as well, you know what, I just want to see how it goes. I want the service being provided directly, full everything out of one hand from SWIAT. That's something that we do as well. Background-wise, we are a joint venture. The shareholders are DECA, LBBW, and SC Ventures, and as well Comino FinTech here in Frankfurt. And our full scope is around digital financial institutions, or making them digital. So what have we done so far in the past, right? We have seen over 700 million in digital securities issuance volumes. We are ignoring the secondary market transactions. We are ignoring tokenized traditional securities here in this perspective. This is purely newly generated digital issuances to see how this runs truly in the digital space. And we have had over 50, or we have had, is good, we are having over 50 institutions on the blockchain already live in production, and we're not talking about those that are in the pipeline. But on the right-hand side, maybe a little bit of an overview of who we are working with, who is trusting us, or where we were involved as a software provider for those cases, like, for example, in the Siemens transaction, in the ECB trials, with a lot of different banks involved, where we provided the technology for. Yeah, and that's as well the reason why Bank of Greece got in touch with us and said, okay, let's do an analysis. We would like to see how a digital bond for a government bond could look like. And we did that one, actually, and we published that project report as well. And then they said, you know what, let's take it even one step further. We would like to see how it works with the market if we do this together with market participants. And that's what we did. So we provided them with the ecosystem that we're using in production and set it up as a sandbox. And we had not only Bank of Greece involved, but as well Eurobank, National Bank of Greece, Piraeus Bank. And of course, they wanted to do this with the Greek colleagues. Of course, familiarity is there. Nevertheless, cross-border cases should be investigated as well. And thankfully, KfW, LBBW, but as well Berliner Volksbank and DECA were interested to pursue this, to as well validate their hypotheses on how do cross-border settlements work if we move them on the chain. And what we did here is we modeled the full life cycle. Yeah, we set up two different blockchains. We had one blockchain for the asset ecosystem and one blockchain for the payment ecosystem to model the ECB approach, right? With the trigger solution, with now that we will have now with Pontus, and more details on the operating setup in a minute then there. And overall, we started this at the end of 2025 and published then there's a report in the beginning of this year. So it was as well a relatively quick process to see and to validate the hypotheses that are behind the activities there. So the key motivation for the Bank of Greece was to see, as a CSD and as a central bank in Greece, we must be able to cater the government as well in the future on a digital ecosystem. How can we do this? How can we achieve this? SWIAT, we would like to see how a digital CSD might look like. And this is the setup that we used. I don't know, can you see this? Oh, lovely. So what we had is similar like in the ECB trials, right? We have an issuer, which was now the Bank of Greece acting on behalf of the Greek government, right? Which as well was the payment bank, right? Bank of Greece, of course, receiving this. And they were set up as a CSD with the feature of all the registry functionalities that we have developed for all our other cases, with the tokenization engine and the settlement features and the enforced transfer features, etc., on the SWIAT blockchain as a sandbox, right? Important to highlight here. And on the other side, we have the investors, right? DECA Bank, National Bank of Greece, etc. All of those are custodians, except two, KfW and Berliner Volksbank. And as we modeled a collective entry transaction, right, like we're doing this with German electronic securities bonds, so that we can truly achieve scale, that not every investor needs to be on chain, we as well invented an artificial digital bank custodian, which was catering both of those, so that they can see their positions on chain and settle those and instruct on those positions while having a custodian who was on chain available for them. So it's basically, what we did here is we did on-chain banking, on-chain depot management, as we know it from online banking and online depots, but just on an institutional level for digital securities. Right, so very straightforward. And then, as the ECB trials had ended already, when we started with this, we set up our own ECB exploratory toolbox, yeah, and with the interoperability mechanism so that we could settle those as well. And we did not only do, as I mentioned in the beginning, we did not only do issuance, right? We wanted to see the full life cycle, meaning as well secondary market transactions, coupon payments, and as well the redemption phase, of course. And we modeled all of these within this target operating model. So every one of the investors was involved in secondary market transactions between each other. Each of those could instruct on the positions that they had available, to request a delivery versus payment, to request free of payment, delivery versus delivery, all those features that our ecosystem provides already today in the SWIAT application ecosystem that we have, right? They could test this again on a sandbox environment. Yeah. And then, of course, at the end, we did the redemption process. So all the details about it, right, are in our Project Sovereign report, of course, right, which we published together with all involved entities, and which gives you an overview about the project, what project phases did we have, how did the individual transactions look like, more or less, right? And as well from a technological setup, how could we do this? How was it so easy for those to participate? And as well, how could this run without a crypto custody solution in the future? Which actually we realized is not really necessary for the setup. And that's exactly the piece that I'm bringing with me today as well. A little bit of outlook, because we had to simulate the ECB setup. We had to simulate wholesale payments. And of course, as we all know, Pontus is going live in 6 months. So the wholesale payment solution by the ECB is hopefully going live in 6 months, one should say. Already the last time we published the ECB report, right, with 8 transactions in it, including the Siemens transaction, etc. And if you want to look this one up, it's already on all the report. It's on our website in SWIAT Research. We set up an interoperability mechanism so that you can move across chains the security against the payment instantaneously, right? And so this feature that we showed that is capable, that we can tokenize digital government bonds, that we can make them available, that we can trade them and move them against wholesale payments, is as well available then in the future. Meaning, those are the transactions from the past, right, that we did this setup as well, diving into intraday repos or repos and collateral financing purposes, etc. All of those use cases become available, right? All of those would be feasible to conduct. So this is a really interesting point to see that a CSD going digital could truly facilitate and offer all the services that they do today already on the blockchain, which would basically transform as well traditional securities fundamentally, because traditional securities could be on-ramped, tokenized in the same way as we create digital securities. Meanwhile, the rest of the processes like book building, trade generation, etc., can remain the same. Hence, how can you do this? How can you join here, right? How can you leverage this for yourself? We have set up something that we call SWIAT access, right? As I mentioned, we have roughly more than 50 financial institutions already on the platform in production, and not all of them have a crypto custody solution. Not everyone has a wallet solution set up. So what we do here is, with SWIAT access, is that we provide you with the environment, right, to go live, to go via browser web GUI, to access the ecosystem. And from there, you can access the entire blockchain. So you don't have to do the technological setup, you don't have to do the operations, etc. And who's actually doing this already? DZ Bank is doing this already, together with us and Adesso in the cooperation here, and we did this already in the ECB trials. So this is a really cool setup to say, how do I do permission management? How do I manage my positions? How do I agree who has which privilege in my organization? All of that is within SWIAT access, so that without major transformative issues and hurdles and challenges, you can go actually online. You can go on chain and interact with all of the other ones that are there and move positions from there. So to close, one last time, the QR code if you missed it the first time on the project report, and I'm happy to dive into more specifics then as well and into the discussion on the panel.